Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh Shai. All praises and all honor and all glory unto Yahweh. That's the Most High God. Bahasham, in the name. Yahweh Shai, he who saves. Bahasham, Rakah Quadash, Spirit Holy, Holy Spirit. Right? Double honor to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone, who rule well. Salutations to the occupant of four winds, preaching the truth of sincerity, risking your lives more now than ever, the hopeful elect. The elect, Shalom. To the Israelite foreigners whose phenotype may look like another nation, but bloodline goes back to Israel and have come back to the fold through their father, Shalom. To the sisters, the Akwathium, who listen and learn under their husband, which is their spiritual leader, with meekness and with silence. Shalom. This your brother Aram Yahweh with the lesson. And yeah, basically, Gad, you know, the scriptures say what Gad, a troop should overcome him, but he should overcome at the last, man. So we know that what the time of Esau is coming to an end, man. The realities that Gad, some of you you know, you ones who saying you're Judah, a lot of you are actually Gad, right? All right, so this is that all coming back around, and the Lord's opening that wisdom, the knowledge, right? Yeah, see, like this right here is an old picture of some autumn women, right? Hohokakum, autumn women, right? You see they got their head covered, staffs, long dress, right? Yeah, so this is the symbol, right? Man in the maze, right? Which really, I don't even know if they understand what it means, right? Which really goes back to you know, David's temple, or you know, or the temple of Solomon, right? That man in the maze, right? Which proved that these natives, right, what they call Indians or natives now, are really actually Israelites that go back to the people of God, to the children of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, right? And also what there's proof that even Ephraim, right, which is the so-called Puerto Ricans, have that man in the maze too, right? Which goes back to, like I said, the you know, some people say the temple of David or Solomon, Solomon's temple or David's temple, right? And that actually goes back to that, right? So what the Lord is rousing up what the Israelites, you so-called black, Hispanic, and Native Indians, right, to come back to him. See, and then you have this one, which is from the Puerto Ricans. It was a Puerto Rican guy I met one time in my apartments, and I was coming home from work. I used to work for Salt River, and Salt River has you know, their version of this, which basically goes back to the scriptures, right? Going back into the Bible, right? to show you that these people, right, these so-called black, Hispanic, and Native Indians are linked together. We are the Israelites, right? Ephraim being the head tribe of the Northern Kingdom, right? The so-called Native Americans, the so-called Mexicans, Guatemalans, you know, Ecuador, all these different places, Colombia. Ephraim, the so-called Puerto Rican, is the head of all those tribes, right? And then Judah, right, so-called Negro of America, is the head of the Southern Kingdom, the so-called African Americans, the so-called Jamaican, West Indian, Haitians. Matter of fact, let's get to it. Let's right. So yeah, I know GMS has their own the 12 tribes, the one we usually use, the one with the lion. But I like this one just because it represents the flags, and it's just representing how Judah is scattered throughout the four winds. So I chose this one just because it has the flags, and it kind of represents that, give you that understanding of that we're scattered all throughout the world, right? Technically, so just showing you through the transatlantic slave trade, we were scattered around the world, right? Starting with Judah, right, in the what they call Europe today, which was named by a black woman named Europa, then over to the Americas when they got Gad, and then back over to the West Africa, where they got the rest of the Southern Kingdom, and some of the I guess some of the Northern Kingdom too, right? Because just proving that we were scattered, right, throughout the world. They gave gifts for us, right? Matter of fact, let's do that. Let's go into that real quick. Yeah, so this is Revelation chapter 11 verse 8, and their dead bodies shall lie in the streets of the great city, right? And that great city is what? America, man. Right? That whore, right? The mother of harlots, right? Which spiritually is Sodom and Egypt. And what goes on in America, man? In America, what? It's all about bondage, right? You turn on the back of your dollar bill and it has the pyramid. Well, who built the pyramids, man? You Israelites, you so-called black, Hispanic, and Native Indians. And who do they have in captivity here in America, building up America, man? You so-called black, Hispanic, and Native Indians. I heard another brother speaking about how the mirth is gone in America, but the only thing that's actually keeping the similitude of mirth are you Israelites, man. Right? Being that you're still at the bottom. Being that you're still shooting each other. Being that you're the ones who coming up with all the songs and the inventions and the fashion. Right? Right? Yeah, we're going to take right here real quickly to Revelation 17 to prove to you that's America, right? That great city. It says, and upon her forehead was the names written, Mystery Babylon the Great, the mother of harlots and abominations of the earth, right? 'Cause nothing but complete abominations come out of America, right? If it ain't women going to work on their periods, it's you got to deal with the moles, right? There's a thousand different genders when the Lord only made man and woman. So I don't know how you get 5 different genders out of 2 species, right? Right. So you got GMO foods and even if you so-called supposed to get 100% cotton, it's probably ain't 100% cotton. Even though you're getting so-called beef and milk or whatever, things ain't what they say it is. I was seeing a video where they were saying they was selling pork, and they were grinding up dog, and putting some type of flavor to make it taste like pork. So a lot of times you go to the store and you think you're buying pork, you're actually buying dog. And I can only imagine if beef, turkey, any of these other things, they're most likely doing the same thing, right? But to prove that that city is America, or the, you know what I mean? This is the woman, right? That whore, Mystery Babylon. This is going down to Revelations 17:18. The woman, and the woman which does saw it, right? Mystery Babylon, that woman, the whore, the harlot, the full of abominations. That's America, right? Man having sex with man, woman with cat, with dog. I mean, all sorts of crazy things go on here, right? Which does saw is that what great city, right? Where it's nothing but bondage, which got you so-called Black, Hispanic, and Native Indians under bondage, which reigneth over the kingdoms of the earth. Now, going back to that dollar bill, what's the world currency? Right? The American dollar bill. Right? Which they're pretending that the whole world is going against, but that's really all so they can go into the digital dollar to push the New World Order, which all these people are all in cahoots and pushing in the digital dollar, which brings in the New World Order. Right? Because all these countries, whether Russia, China, they're all in cahoots as far as the Masons, the Illuminati, whatever you want to call it. They're in cahoots. But the Lord is going to cause something for them to what? To go further in their fight than what they intend to, right? Because all these fights were really the Illuminati. You had the South and the what you call them fight. It was really just these inward people who knew what they were trying to do, and the other one was trying to get the upper hand, and the one who lost has to follow pursuit. You just have to, you're in the know. You just didn't be able to implement run the world the way you wanted to run it. But you're all Masons. You have to agree, and a lot of that's just ethnic cleansing too. Yeah, back to Revelations 8, 11 and 8, Salakia, and their dead bodies, right, which is America, man. You so-called Black, Hispanic, and Native Indians are in the dead state, man, right? Shall lie in the streets of that great city, which is what? America, where that whore is at, the Statue of Liberty, or really it's an androgynous man, right? Right? Because you Israelites don't understand. Yeah, so to prove that that's what that is, because it says Proverbs chapter 21 verse 16, the man that wandereth out of the way of understanding, and that's really where you so-called Black, Hispanic, and Native Indians are right now, right? The Lord has woken up the prophets. We're doing these video epistles. We're out there on the highways and the byways. This thing is being pushed. You're running into Israelites on a daily basis, on some type of scale, right? It's for you to search it out, right? So, because our disobedience with the Lord, the Lord told Jeremiah that even you should discontinue from your heritage, right? Which is basically understanding, right? Thou that the man that wandereth out of the way of understanding, which the law, statutes, commandments, which is what? Our inheritance, right? Which goes into our customs, our inheritance, right? It's what makes us. It's our customs, right? The customs of the ways of the East, right? We have an Eastern God, man. We should have an Eastern mindset and the mindset of an Eastern God, man. We come from Israel, man. Right? It says, wander out of the way of understanding shall remain in the congregation of the dead, man. So really, you're dead from the neck down. That's the reason why I was saying it in that way. Right? Not that you're actually dead, but you should lie dead in the street. Why? Because what? You have no understanding. That's what these movies of The Walking Dead is about. It's about you Israelites, man. You're basically walking around being consumers, buying up everything, buying the fanciest things, but you're still at the bottom. You're dead, right? You're just a zombie. You eat what the elites call you useless eaters, man. That's why the zombie always want to eat brains, right? Which goes into what they're planning to do is to make you all cannibals. That's why they're burning up the chicken houses and the food markets and all these different what is it, chocolate factories, and to make you become cannibals, because you're such the Walking Dead that you're gonna walk right into, which they're already setting you up to. McDonald's have human meat in it, so if you eat McDonald's, you've already been eating human meat, right? You're already in the congregation of dead with no understanding, right? Yeah, so this is back to Revelation chapter 11 verse 8. And their dead bodies shall lie in the streets of the great city, which is America, which spiritually is what? Sodom, what goes on. A man can marry a man, a woman can marry a woman, sodomy, right? And Egypt, right, which is bondage. That's why you see the pyramid on the dollar bill, to have you so-called Black, Hispanic, and Native Indians in bondage and confusion, not knowing. Because the Lord said that he should come out and deceive the world, right? He should be loose a short season to deceive the world, right? And that's what he did. Where also our Lord was crucified. Was he crucified in America? No, but he was crossed out. He was changed from a dark image, a woolly hair black man, into a stringy hair, long hair, hippie looking white dude, Serapis Christus, Jesus Christ, right? A false image, lies, right? There's no J's in Hebrew, right? It says, and they of the people and kindreds, right? All the other nations and tongues and nations, see, to prove it, shall see their dead bodies 3 days and a half, right? So, there's a certain period, like a 300-year period, unto the time of Abba Bibbins stepped on the scene, right? And right from the time of them releasing us from slavery, right? Because they even made fun of it in some of these old movies. They would say, look at that Indian dude. He's an Israelite. And then there was one where he was telling the Indian dude, you're an Israelite. He was like, no, I'm not. And it was like their way of showing how much they have deceived you, right? Have made you lose your heritage. How much in the congregation of the dead you were. And they even put it on movies and TV, right? Right, blatantly in your face, and you still didn't know you was the Israelites, right? They did it on Roots too. Those look like one of those Hebrews. Why Roots? They looking at one of the slaves. He said the slaves look like one of the Hebrews, but no one picked that up. Niggas is still calling themselves Kemetic. So this is how much in the congregation of the dead that you are, right? Niggas still want to be Muslim. Niggas still want to praise Allah. You are crazy. And yeah, that their dead bodies, they shall see their dead bodies 3 days and a half, and shall not suffer their dead bodies to be put in graves, right? To give you rest, right? Because ultimately, even when you deal with these like these crime shows, or like the ones where they have these so-called psychics, and the person, I just want you to tell them where my body's at so I can rest, right? And the rest would be to be able to give you the understanding that you're an Israelite, man. No, we're still not on top. We're still not ruling, but it's rest that we know that it's coming, right? And they that dwell upon the on the earth shall rejoice over them, right? That's what they're doing, rejoicing over you so-called black, Hispanic, and Native Indians, and send gift one to another, right? You so-called natives got sent gifts. Captain Captain Hunt, right? He was a specialist. He was a special Indian hunter who sent Indians to what? Spain, Portugal. It was a specialty. So native, you were getting sent around the world. Oh, kun, the water Yahweh, as gifts, one to another, right, all around the world. You so-called Mexicans, they just found a slave ship where they were sending you off to Cuba, and then shipping you from Cuba to other places of the world, right? Right, and I mean, we already know what happened to the so-called black man. We know you've been like that, but it's these other tribes, the Northern Kingdom. They don't think they went on these slave ships, right? They thinking that the Lord didn't mean business, man. When He said you were going to go into slavery, you're going to go into slavery. That you were going to go on ships, right? You were going to be scattered throughout the world, and the Lord meant that, right? Because that's what He's going to say right here. It says, as gifts one to another, because they're to prophets, right? What do a prophet do? He says what happens before it happens. Tormented them that dwelt on the earth, man. They were prophesying how they were going to go down, just like we're prophesying how they're going to go down now. And they whole thing was like, yeah, we got them, but guess what? It didn't stop us from being prophets. It didn't stop the Lord's agenda. You really only forward the Lord agenda, right? And let's prove that you forward the Lord's agenda. This is Deuteronomy 28 and 64. And the Lord, which is Yahweh, Basham Yahweh Shai, Basham Rakal Kadash, right? Because the Lord's deal with order. Just like the Lord tells you in 1 Corinthians 11, the head of every man is Hamashiach. The head of every man is Hamashiach. The head of the woman is man, and the head of Hamashiach is the Most High, Yahweh. Right? It's an all in order. You know what I'm saying? So the Lord's dealing in perfect order. So it says, and Yahweh, Bashem Yahweh Shai, shall scatter thee among all nations. From, right? They gave us as gifts. One to another, celebrating that they had us. But the one thing they were forgetting is we're still the prophets. We're still prophesying about your downfall. Right? Do your unbelief make the faith of Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai without effect? Yahweh forbid, man. Right? Among all people, from one end of the earth even into the other. That's where you got sent. So-called Mexicans, so-called Native Americans, so-called Puerto Rican, so-called Dominican, so-called Cuban, so-called Colombian, so-called, Guatemalan. All you know what I mean? Right? You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I met this chick. She was a Zebulon, and she was mad because she really looked like a so-called black woman, but she told me she shouldn't think. She got mad when I said about slave ships. But guess what? You went on slave ships too. What you think the so-called white man didn't go down there out there in that goddamn jungle and didn't send you back to Spain? Yeah, you sailed over here due to Second Esdras 13, 40 to 45. You know what I mean? But through the Lord, what you got sent back? You got sent back somewhere. It's from one end of the earth into the other, right? And there thus shall serve, right? Which slavery, right? The pyramid that you see on the dollar bill, slavery.
bondage. Other gods, which neither thus nor thy fathers have known, even wood and stone. So what? That's that great confusion. Now you're serving gods that what? Your enemies put upon you. You're speaking languages that your enemy put upon you. Which goes into what? The congregation of the dead. Which that the same thing that Jeremiah said that you should discontinue from your heritage. Right? Says and the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships by the way wherefore I spake unto thee, thus shall see it no more again, and there ye shall be sold. Right? That's what happened to you so-called Native Americans. That's what happened to you so-called Puerto Ricans, Dominicans. Right? You Cubans. You Guatemalans. You so-called Mexicans. You so-called Native Americans. Right? That's what happened to you. And you know what happened to you. You know this happened to you Negroes. You so-called African American. You so-called Jamaican. So-called Haitian. Right? You know what happened to you. Right? But they don't want you to know that you're a family. It's called divide and conquer. But you all went on this thing, man. Because the Lord prophesied it, man. So they further the Lord's word, man, by doing that. Right? Should be sold unto your enemies for bondmen, right? A slave man and a bondwoman, a slave woman, and no man shall buy you, which means redeem you. Whichever Native American went in that ship over to goddamn England or Spain or China or Japan or wherever you went to under slavery, under Esau, that's where you went. And you ain't came back. You done had families, generation. Now, I mean, you're talking 1,000 years later or so. So you know what I mean? Generations that, you know what I mean? It's crazy. So there's no way you know that you're that you're an Israelite like that unless the Spirit is tapping in with you, right? Yeah, so this is Jeremiah chapter 17 verse 4. And thus even thyself shall discontinue from thy heritage that I gave thee. I will cause thee to serve, which slavery, serve thy enemies in a land thus know it's not. So you came, you was over here in America doing your thing, whatever respective tribe you're from, as far as being Gad or the North so-called Native American, you're in your land over here in Mexico or Colombia or out there in the what is it called? What do they call it? I forgot that goddamn island where the goddamn where Columbus went to. Can't think of it. But whatever, that island over there where he came over and round up you so-called Dominicans and you so-called Puerto Ricans because they right around now those islands. What happened to you? You start serving your enemy. You went into a land, thus know it's not. You didn't know that land, right? To serve thy enemy in the land which thus know it's not. For ye have kindled a fire, right? Which means ain't mad. The Lord's PO'd, right? What they call it, PO'd. In my anger, right? See? Which shall burn forever. And this is the thing that's going to happen until the world get judged, man. Right? Unless the Lord is dealing with you. Unless he's tapping into your mentality. Yeah, so right here it says, what news thing is this? Oh, the Guardian. So this is the Guardian. It says, Mexico archaeologists in Mexico identifies first Mayan slave ship. Ship had been used to take Mayans captured during in 18 1847 through 1901 rebellion to work in sugarcane fields in Colombia, right? And they didn't stop there. They were already slaves in Colombia. So what you think they did while they were transporting people from Colombia? They were transporting you from there, from Colombia to wherever else they wanted to. I mean, you're a slave at that point. Yeah, so this says archaeologists in Mexico have identified a ship that carried Mayan people into virtual slavery in the 1850s, the first time such a ship has been found. Right? And you can read the rest on your own. But just to give you proof that you so-called Mexicans were on slave ships too. Right? Who you think did that? Esau Edom, the self-proclaimed white man. Whether if he's speaking Spanish, French, Portugal, whatever, he's the devil. He's the Edomites, man. Yeah, so this is wickedlocation.com. Again, wickedlocation.com says Cape Cotter. Cape Cotter says the nefarious deeds of Captain James Hunt. It's like Captain James. Yeah, hey, but that's what he was, a kidnapper. Captain James Hunt was a kidnapper, right? Which is basically, and that's probably where they got this from, right? And they showing you some brown skin in natives, right? Not fucking the bullshit they be trying to show you. Yeah, they're brown. He says, let me just skip to the point. It says, he captured 27 Native Americans by luring them on board his ship under pretense of trucking, as trading was often called in those days, which is all bullshit. This is just a way of Esau trying to get out of it, trying to make it sound good, right, or whatever. However, and a lot of you so-called natives, you go for it, man. You speak a lot of smooth words. That's just another word of saying that he kidnapped you, right? Because he's gonna say it. It's kidnapping. And once on board, the unsuspecting native was subdued, right? Which is kidnapping, right? And confined below deck until the cargo was full. So basically saying you're just cargo, just like the so-called black man was at the bottom of the belly of that ship, just as cargo. So were you natives. So were you so-called Mexicans. So were you so-called Puerto Ricans. You so-called Dominicans. So-called Cubans. So-called Colombians, man. You people are sick, man. You believe anything the white man tell you, man. Right? But then they have plenty of things, even when they're trying to sugarcoat it. He just told you he was kidnapping natives, and then he made it just like it was 27 of them. So you had a whole ship, but then you didn't stop until it was full. So where's the rest of the number? So they only gave you 27. So you're not stopping until it's full. It's more than 27. You know what I mean? Come on now. But see, they plan for you to be a fucking fool, right, Salakia? Excuse me for my French, or the, like the apostle say, my Italian. I like what he said. Salakia, man, and Salakia, below deck until cargo was full. 20 of the natives were taken from Pat 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 Truck, which became Plymouth, right? Hey, what did Malcolm X say? We didn't land on Plymouth Rock. Plymouth Rock landed on us. Hey, same thing for you natives, man. That place wasn't called Plymouth. Plymouth Rock landed on you, right? And 7 were taken from right here on the elbow of Cape must be that one that's up here, Cotter, but it just says Cape. Oh, Cape Cod, right? Talking about Cape Cod. The elbow of the Cape, the land that was later called Newset. Let's see if we can find anything else about this goddamn devil. Before returning to England. So you think he just stopped at whatever Cape Cod or Plymouth? Where do you think he took you, so-called Native Americans, to? He took you to England. He took you to Spain to sell. Yeah, wait, Spain. Wait a second. Before returning to England, Hunt stopped in Spain to sell the kidnapped natives into slavery. Man, hey, you so-called Native Americans, man, y'all better wake the freak up, man. So yeah, call Loyum Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai Bashem Rakal Double honor to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule well. Salutations to the Akim and the Four Winds, preaching the truth and sincerity, risking your lives more now than ever. The hopeful elect, Shalom. To the Israelite foreigners whose phenotype may look like another nation, but bloodline goes back to Israel and have come back to the fold. Shalom. To you sisters, you Akhwathium, who listen and learn under your husband, which is your spiritual leader, with meekness and with silence. And a Bible ball.